That is the second time this year that I've literally been blown back by the launch of a Porsche. The crazy thing is that this time we've got a normal engine in the car. But obviously not a normal engine, because this car does 0 to 100 in 2.7 seconds. That is literally the time it would take a super bike to get to 100 kilometers an hour. So, do I really need to introduce this car? You've seen what the car looks like, you know what it is. It's the car that every single petrol head has been talking about. The new 992 Porsche Turbo S. And my goodness, this car is rapid. So let's get into the meat of things. I've got a 3.8 litre bi-turbo engine that produces 478 kilowatts and wait for it, 800 newton meters of torque. That is ridiculous. And with figures like that, you get responses like this. This car, dare I say it, is extremely comfortable. And you would never expect this from a car that can perform as well as this. The reason why this is possible is because this car has got what Porsche calls Porsche Active Suspension Management. So, many smart people in Germany got together and created a system that can move up to 200 times in a second. It's constantly detecting the surfaces on the road, constantly moving around, constantly checking, making sure that I'm always in the optimal suspension mode. But at the same time, it never compromises on ride quality. I'm in the hardest setting, and I could actually go to Durban in a car like this. Another reason why this car handles the way it does is because it is obviously four-wheel drive. Porsche turbos for a long time now have used a four-wheel drive system. Most of the time, four-wheel drive cars tend to feel a bit numb and disconnected, and they tend to understeer. So what Porsche has done in this situation is that they've made this car have more of a rear bias, because we all know that Porsches have a very distinctive feel. And I can tell you right now that coming into corners here, this car doesn't feel like the front is heavy. The front feels light, it feels unencumbered. It feels almost like a rear-wheel drive car. But yet, if I push it a bit more and I need to accelerate out of a corner, you can feel the front wheels kicking in and saving me out of trouble. One thing is for sure, this car has got so much technology that makes you feel like a better driver each and every time you get inside this car. But it's also a very tricky thing to do as well, because with more technology and more systems, it can often take away from the driving experience. But somehow, I can confidently say that nothing has been taken away from this car. It still feels like a car that I'm driving. If anything, I'm very glad that the Porsche systems are there, because I am no race car driver, and most of the people who can afford a car like this aren't. So the fact that I can confidently drive this car enthusiastically like this tells you that these systems work. So it's all good and well to have all the aero, all the performance in the world, but the most important thing in a car like this is the braking system. Because as fast as you need to be able to accelerate, you need to be able to decelerate at the same kind of speed. So up front, I've got 420 millimeter discs, and in the rear, we've got 390 millimeters. But these discs are also ceramic, and it's the first Porsche to have 10 piston calipers in the front, which is ridiculous. And what that means is that if I need to stop on a dime, I literally press the brake and the car halts. Oh. Jeez Louise. Right, so I told the producers of the show that in order for me to get through more detail on this car, I would need to get out of it, because trying to present and drive this car fast is literally a bad idea. So whilst I've got you here, let's talk about the outside of the 992 Turbo S. The first thing you notice when you look at the back of this car is this wing. Yes, this car has got the new design language that you'd find in the 992 of the 911 range. I know that does sound like a mouthful, but that's exactly what this car is. It's the 992 version. One thing I do love is this retro 911 badge that you find here. Now you may ask yourself, how on earth does this car put all that power down? And it's quite simple. In the rear, we've got 3 1/5 section tires on 21-inch wheels, which is ridiculous because if you think about it, a 3 1/5 section tire is what you usually get in an SUV. Moving to the front of the vehicle, we've also got active aerodynamics. If you look over here, and when the vehicle is moving, we've got this front splitter that pops up to make sure that the car produces enough downforce. And last but not least, this car has got the optional carbon fiber roof. So all this that you're seeing here, all the little design elements, they're all functional. And that is why the Porsche Turbo S performs the way it does, that is why it drives the way it does, and that is why it handles so well on the road.